Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we all dream of making money in our sleep. Well, that could be a reality. We're going to be talking to an expert on mineral properties next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I'm fascinated by oil and the people who get rich in the oil business. Dallas, the TV show, was one of my favorite shows. That's one of the reasons why we came to Dallas. But I got to be honest, it's a lot of work to drill and be on an oil rig. There's a lot of people making money in their sleep, and they never step foot on an oil rig. To talk about that, Henry Harrison, he's with Mineral Royalties Group. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. And you and I have been friends for probably a decade now.
Yes, sir, we have, my friend.
We both belong to EO Dallas. We're proud members. That's Entrepreneurs Organization, and we've got a vibrant chapter. And I saw Henry at an event recently, and I said, man, you need to come on the show. So I'm thrilled to bring you on. Let's call this Mineral Properties 101. So for the person who has no idea what mineral rights are or mineral properties, what are they?
Yeah, so a mineral property is something that's deeded and recorded at the county courthouse, and an individual or a company owns it. And it's somewhat similar to owning royalties to a song. You get paid royalties, but you don't have any expenses associated with the royalties or any responsibilities.
And when somebody buys a home, they're not necessarily buying the energy or the
That's
the mineral
correct.
rights.
Yeah. So very often the surface rights are severed from the subsurface rights. So mineral properties are the subsurface rights or the subsurface property. And the reason why you might want to own those is if they have oil and gas in them, and a company is drilling there or is going to drill there, then you get paid royalties. So just like Jeff said, you literally make money in your sleep.
Well, they've been drilling for oil in Texas for a good 100 years. Are all the great deals snapped up already, or are some people like sitting on a gold mine?
No, some people are sitting on a gold mine. We find that it is hard to sell minerals. There's a saying, Grandma said never sell the minerals, because there's no cost to keep them and they pay you money. However, there are times in lives or death when people want to sell their minerals. Perhaps there is a death in the family and the kids want to sell the minerals, or half the minerals, or a third of the minerals, or there's a divorce, or they want to cash out and put their kids through college. So there are good reasons why people, want some money to fulfill some things and needs in their life.
Sure. We're going to pull up your website, and as we scroll down the website, I want you to talk about why your company is different from others in the field.
Sure. I think that we have an expertise that allows us to, with a low budget, identify how much oil and gas is in the ground. Because ultimately, we have to be the high bidder for the property that we're purchasing. And then at some point, our business model, we hold on to it, we turn around and sell it. We have to get a higher price to make a margin. So that means we really have to know what we're buying. And we also treat people well, both on the buying and the selling side.
And there still continues to be developments in fracking. I remember when Chesapeake was a dominant player, I was at a meeting in Johnson County, and Chesapeake came in and did a 101 on mineral rights, and they explained that oil that you could never get before, gas that you could never get before, you can get through fracking. So talk about the developments in fracking, even in the last 20 years.
The oil and gas legacy of the show, Dallas, continued because in Dallas-Fort Worth is where they discovered how to frack shale. And if you were to look at shale, it just looks like rock. In fact, they refer to it as rock, which is kind of confusing because how do you get oil and gas out of rock? But the way you get it out of there is by fracking it, which means you put pressure on the rock so it breaks up. And then you insert sand down this long hole, in many cases 8,000 feet down, and it gets in the crevices of the rock, and the oil and gas seeps out. So that's a new technology that's been developed here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for fracking shale in just a little over the last 20 years. But what's happened is it's a bit like the iPhone or other technology like computers. They're getting better and better and getting more of the oil and gas up out of the ground more efficiently. And Exxon recently posted they believe they're going to increase it even more with new technology.
Sure. We've got some video from our library of drilling in West Texas. Talk about the outlook for the next few years. We know right now our gas prices are going down, which is strange to me because you've got a war going on in the Middle East. Is there any rhyme or reason between world tensions and the cost of gas?
Well, I concur. I think it's a bit strange that it hasn't gone up, but I made a decision some time ago not to try to predict. It's about like trying to predict the stock market with all the traders and the whole world and the global market. But I do think, generally speaking, over time, there's a positive demand for natural gas because Europe really needs it, and there's a lot of liquefied natural gas plants that are being built in the U.S. And so I think if someone that owns minerals takes a long-term view, price is going to go up and down, but I don't have any costs. I get checks every month. It's a good thing to own.
So how does somebody watching this know whether they're sitting on a gold mine? I mean, like my parents owned some land outside of Frost, Texas, down south of Waxahachie. They've owned this for a long time. They were told generations ago that no, there's nothing there, but maybe they should reinvestigate because of the advances in technology.
Sure, yeah. If they were to have shale under there, then there would be changes in what could be recovered and whether there's a belief or whether factually is there oil and gas in the ground. It's hard to, there's different segments of purchasing minerals and investing. It's kind of like buying raw farmland and waiting until the development comes or buying right when there's a Walmart across the street. So we focus on the less risky aspect, which is buy when there's already drilling, so we know there's oil and gas there. In the case like you're talking about with your family, it'd be a question of geology, geophysicist, if there's any activity in the area, soil samples, and that gets to be complicated and expensive, but it could be very worthwhile depending on what the result ends up being.
Sure. You were telling me before the show about one of your favorite stories of success.
Sure. It's very exciting when you sell some mineral property to a client that had some rental properties and they had them a long time. In this one case, one lady, it wasn't going very well. Leaky roof, big repair, insurance didn't cover it all, deductibles, problems with plumbing, problems under the foundation, and a lot of time and effort for what people might think of as a passive investment, owning a rental property. But I don't know of anything more passive than owning mineral rights or mineral property, because those big drillers that we saw on the screen there a while ago, what they do is difficult and complicated. You get the benefit because you own the property of getting a royalty from all the oil and gas they bring up with all that complicated technology. So she was just so excited not to have to worry and just get a check every month. And in fact, some people don't believe that it's possible that you can just sit there and get a check every month, but it is a real thing, and she was happy.
I love that. We've got another page off your website that I want to scroll down because this is often a presentation that you guys give when you're talking to a potential new investor. And as we scroll down this, if there's anything that catches your eye, Henry, on things that they should look for, there's a wealth of information on your website. So as we look at this, what catches your eye?
Yeah, I think many times people don't even understand that this is for sale, because traditionally there's a mineral deed on the website there, and that's what you get if you purchase mineral property and if you own it. There's large funds, billion-dollar Wall Street funds, and there's very wealthy families, and then there's small players that have been in the business or own some property originally, but there's not very many people that understand, wow, I can take some of the money I was going to put in the stock market or in rental properties and diversify and actually buy some property, get a deed, own it, and get checks. So that's the kind of, it's not a secret. You can research it anywhere you want, but it's not well known. And really almost very few people know about it.
And there's some tax benefits to
There are some
investing.
tax benefits, that's right, yes. So there's what they call a depletion allowance, which means you don't pay taxes on 15% of the revenue. So if you get $1,000, you pay taxes on $850.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, in the little time we have left, final thoughts. What do you want people to know about your company, and what would an engagement look like? You have an exploratory phone call first, or how
That's exactly right. Yeah, we have people that will be happy to answer the phone and talk to you and just educate you. In fact, that is our main effort, is to educate people about mineral rights, mineral properties, and then they can decide if it's right for them. We show them why we think it's a good investment for the long term, and they can decide whether it's a good fit.
Outstanding. You've been an amazing guest. We're going to leave with the website, which is mineralroyaltiesgroup.com. The great Henry Harrison, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.